so much for taking some time out of your day to hang out with me and find out a little bit more about the GRE test. I'm going to go through a lot of resources, and I just want you to know that the best thing for you is to make sure you get a copy of this PDF or this PowerPoint so that you can click on all those links and get more information to help you take the GRE test and do really well. So let's go ahead and begin. So the GRE, what is the GRE? Well, let's go really quickly over the agenda, what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the GRE testing program, the GRE services, and GRE resources. So what is the GRE? So the purpose of the test is it's used by graduate admissions or fellowship panels to supplement undergrad records. It's also for additional qualifications for graduate programs. It provide common measures to compare qualifications of applicants, and it does aid in evaluations of applicant grades and recommendations. Basically, the purpose of the test is even if you have an amazing application because your GPA is really good, your letter of recommendations are awesome, the personal statements superb, sometimes the graduate directors just need a little bit more to make sure that you're the perfect candidate for the program. Also, it's a great way if your GPA isn't as good. So maybe you didn't do so good in your undergrad, but you know that you really want to go to graduate school or go into a doctoral program, and you don't want your GPA to impact your ability to get accepted into the program. A GRE is a great way to prove yourself to the directors or the committee. Some of the benefits of test scores, it's going to measure your skills that are very essential to graduate school success or a doctoral program. It does furnish independent information to supplement the evaluation of grades and recommendation reference letters. So that's what I just mentioned. It is a supplement, and it does offer a valid predictor of how well you're going to do in graduate school. So who uses the GRE, the general test? It's used around the world for master's programs, MBA programs, and even law school, so JD programs. And that little hyperlink are all the schools that do take the GRE. It's also used for doctoral programs and awarding fellowships. And fellowships are like scholarships. And the scores are good for 5 years. So the testing programs, there's two different GRE tests. One of them is the general test, and the other one is the subject test. The general test is the most common. There is an option for home testing. So thanks to COVID, we are able to take a test at home versus having to go to a testing center, which used to be kind of an issue for some people that did not live near a testing center. The general test is going to have 3 sections. It's verbal, reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and a critical thinking and analytical writing portion. The GRE subject tests are just going to be based on these subjects, and these are going to be paper delivered. It's about 2 hours and 50 minutes for the test, and you'll only be able to take this one if required by the graduate program or doctoral program in chemistry, mathematics, physics, and psychology. The general test you can do at home. It's computer delivered. The test dates, they're continuous. They're always happening either at a testing location or from home. The fee is $205, but take into consideration that beginning November 1st, 2022, so in about a month from now, the general test is going to increase by $15 US dollars worldwide. So the test length for the GRE general test, which are again, those 3 different subjects per se, right? Qualitative, quantitative, and the critical skill writing. It's 3 hours and 45 minutes. The subject tests, which again, were like the chemistry and the psychology, those are only offered in September, October, and April. So it's really good for you to make sure if you need to take a single subject test and a application is due in a certain time or date, you're going to want to make sure you're taking that test either September, October, or April. And that test is going to cost you $150 just for that single subject, and it's 2 hours and 50 minutes. Some of the services that the GRE provides, they do provide testing accommodations such as extended testing times, extra breaks, assistance with a human reader, a scribe. There are alternate test formats, and accommodations on computer delivered tests include screen magnification and JAWS. The other testing accommodations, or if you need testing accommodations, you first need to register. And once you register, you're able to at that point request for the accommodations through your ATS account. You're going to want to request these accommodations before you actually go take the test. If you know you're going to need some accommodations, make sure you're doing it well in advance. And again, links to all the different information of exactly how you're going to do that. So a couple more of the GRE resources. There's a fee reduction program. There's also search services, test taking resources, test prep materials, and score options. So when you get your score, some options. The fee reduction program, we're talking about how to save money. There is an application and you are going to need to have some sort of financial need or have been unemployed, and it is applicable to retest. It also includes, so if you do get approved for the fee reduction, it does also include GRE test prep materials that are worth about $100, and the voucher is going to pay 50% off the regular test fee. The search service, you're probably wondering, like, why do I want to do a search service, or like, why should I create a profile for this? Well, it's for recruiting purposes. There are going to be other programs out there that are going to want to offer you to apply to their programs. Maybe there's some scholarships out there, maybe some fellowships, anything. Anybody at the recruiting end, we pay, I know this, we would pay money to be able to get some test scores from all the different test takers, and we can start recruiting from there. So it's a great way for you to find out if there's other schools that want you. And again, more information on how to create your profile so you can start getting recruited. Test taking resources. The GRE has a lot of test taking resources that I think are great. They really help you do well. They want you to do well. So they provide a lot of information. And one of them is the free test preparation materials. As you can see, all these different links I have here, right? There's an overview of the verbal reasoning measure. They literally tell you all of these, this is what it looks like. This is, how you should attack these questions. Really helps you to make sure that you're going to do the best you can on the GRE the first time around. Overview of the quantitative, overview of the analytical writing measure. And then there's also a math refresher, some mathematical assumptions or conventions. And then, like I stated before, the strategies and tips for how to do the general test. Sorry on that single subject one, but at least with the general test, they do have a lot of information. Now, these test preparation materials are not free, but do you remember how I talked about the fee reduced application? These are the ones you would get. I believe it is the Power Prep Plus that costs $100. So all these are they're going to cost you some money, but they definitely do help you when it comes to doing the best you can. A lot of good things there if you're willing to pay a little bit more if the free resources aren't enough to get you prepared. Now let's talk about the general test. There's the 3 sections, as I mentioned, and the way the test structure is, your analytical writing, there's just 1 section and 2 questions, and you only get 30 minutes per question to write. The verbal, which is the qualitative, it's 2 sections, 20 questions per section, and you only get 30 minutes per section. So an hour with the verbal. And with the quantitative, which is more like your mathematical, also 2 sections, 20 questions per section, and you get 35 minutes per section. So kind of do the math there, but you better be answering these questions pretty fast, right? Or just having to skip on over to the next one if you don't know what that first one is, just keep moving. The test is going to take you 3 hours and 45 minutes. And this does also include breaks. Yes, you get some breaks. The way that the test is designed, it does allow you to move freely forward and backwards. You are able to preview and review capabilities within the section. You can tag questions, and then you can also change and edit answers. And in the quantitative reasoning section, which again is like the mathematical section of it, there is a on-screen calculator. And again, just these are some other features in that Power Prep online practice test. So the Power Prep online practice test allows you to kind of see how the test works, so that when you do take the official GRE test, you feel very comfortable moving around and along the test. The verbal reasoning, it's going to assess your ability to understand what you just read and how you apply your reasoning skills. It's like analyzing and drawing conclusions, reasoning with incomplete data, understanding multiple levels of meaning, summarizing text, distinguishing major from minor points. The quantitative reasoning, it's going to assess your basic mathematical skills. It says basic, right? It's basic, but you're just going to have to remember high school math or other things like that. So it's going to do arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and data analysis. And again, I put little details there of exactly what it means when it talks about algebra or geometry. And the little link down there is going to take you and it'll show you a little bit more details of the type of questions. And do you remember I mentioned those free resources about math and the conventions? Again, they really want you to do well. So there's all those resources. Now, the critical and analytical writing. There's going to be a 30-minute analyze an issue task and a 30-minute analyze an argument task. So some quick tips with the verbal reasoning and quantitative reasoning sections. So the computer is going to select the second section of a measure based on your performance on the first section. All questions within the section are going to contribute equally to your final score. It does say do your best on both sections because the final on each measure, it's going to be based on the total correct answers and the level of difficulty of the questions. This is really, really important. Points are not deducted for wrong answers. Points are not deducted for wrong answers. Points are not deducted for wrong answers. So you might as well answer them. I know I told you to skip forward and go around and do as much as you need to make sure you're getting the right answers, but go back to those that you don't know and just do your best with critically analyzing and guessing, okay? You really do need to study for the test. I don't care if you have a 4.0 GPA or you are the most intelligent person, genius in your family or among your friends or at the school. You still need to study for the test. It's different. And the reason why the GRE website gives you so many resources is they want you to understand the difference and how to answer these questions. It does also say beware of the time. So practicing a test before you take the test will kind of give you an idea of what's taking you too long, or are your strategies of trying to answer every single question as you see it, is that taking you too long? Maybe, take the test again, a pre-test, and see if you have a different strategy of going a lot faster through it. Again, answer every question. Answer every question. Use all your knowledge to figure out answers to unfamiliar questions. So that's that critical and analyzing. Check the review screen before finishing a section to confirm that all questions have been answered. So that review screen is where it lets you know what are all the questions that you answered and which ones you didn't. So maybe you skipped one or not, right? At least go back and make sure you did all of them. Don't waste too much time on those really difficult questions. And then don't spend too much time on the review screen. You don't want to take too much time there. All right, scores. So the scores are going to be reported in the following scales. Your analytical writing, it's going to be either between a 0 all the way up to a 6. And of course, you want a 4 and above, I believe, is good. Your verbal scores are going to be between 130 and 170. There are some programs, graduate programs, that don't actually ask you for a certain score. But the better you do, the better. If you hit the 130, if you hit the 1 on the analytical writing, you hit the 130 in the verbal, and you hit the 130 in the quantitative, doesn't mean you're not going to get into graduate school. You still took the GRE. But the better you do, like mentioned before, it does show that you are capable and you're going to be successful in graduate school. Some little bit of information here is that at the end of the test session, you do have the option to report or to cancel the unofficial scores. So when you're done with your test, it's going to give you only though on the verbal and quantitative, okay, just verbal and quantitative, it's going to give you kind of like this free score. And right at that moment, you have the option to cancel it or report it. Please, 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 always report it, always. Who cares what the pre-score is? Just report that score. You paid for that test, you studied for that test, you took time out of your day to take this almost 4-hour-long test, just report it. If it's not what you wanted or it's not what you need to get into the graduate program you wanted to, at least you have the ability to see how you did. And if you retake it and you do even better, at least you're able to gauge your difference, okay? It does say here that you have the opportunity to use 4 free score reports. Just talked about when you're sending them off to like the different schools that are requesting the GRE test scores. Your official scores are going to be available online about 2 weeks later, so 10 to 15 days after you took the test. And you, like I mentioned, you do have the option to take the test again. You can take it once every 21 days, but only up to 5 times within a 12-month period. Now, if you're studying and using all the resources, paid or free, that the GRE site has available for you, I doubt you're going to have to take it up to 5 times. Once you have taken the test, after you've received your official scores, there's this free diagnostic service that the GRE website has for anyone that's registered and has taken a test. Basically, all the wrong answers you got, it'll tell you why they were wrong and what was the correct answer. So it's almost like backtracking and figuring out, oh, I knew it. I should have picked that. My gut told me to go with this and I went with the other one, right? So it kind of gives you an idea. The other thing is maybe like on the quantitative side, if you thought you did the math right, but you didn't, I'll kind of give you the explanation on how you get to the correct answer. So there you go. It's like free resources again to study and retake the test and do even better. So it's amazing. I love this diagnostic service. You can review this service within 6 months of your test date. So on the test day, no cell phones, no iPads, no nothing. Make sure you get to the test center early, but if you're going to be doing it at home, I mean, wake up early. I don't know, be prepared and ready to take the test at the designated time. There are a lot of policies and procedures that you need to make sure you're following when you're at the test center. And there are like test etiquette stuff, right? At home, test takers, you're going to have to be alone in a room on an empty desk with no clutter and sitting in a standard chair. You have to show the proctor around your room just to make sure you don't have like some boards with all the answers or little hints, right? And tricks. Make sure that you are in an area that there's nothing around you. And then you're going to make sure that you have your valid ID with your name, signature, and photograph. Also, make sure you have the names of the schools that you're going to be reporting to and some of the things to not do either at the test sites, test sites or at your home testing at home. So no food, no drinks, no tobacco, no e-cigarettes. Do not bring any personal items, just your ID. And then try not to bring your cell phone or have your cell phone, smartphones, or anything electronic devices near you or around you. At the test centers, I believe they have lockers that you can put all that stuff away in. And I did put on there, you cannot access your phone during the test or even during the breaks at all. So you have to be without any communication for at least 4 hours. I'm sorry, but you got to do it so you can pass the test and not get kicked out. I've seen that happen before. So before you start the test, your photograph's going to be taken. So if you're doing a home test, you do have to have a web camera. A handwriting sample is going to be collected. You're going to have to, you will be scanned with a handheld electronic device. So this is at the test centers. You will be receiving a writing utensil and scratch paper at the test centers. For home test takers, they do allow you to have like a whiteboard or a blank paper. And one thing that was suggested is having like a white blank print paper or whatever with inside a transparent sheet protector and using an erasable marker, like something that you can write to help you, but then you're able to erase it without having to have like all these different scratch papers that you're going through. And then with the testing room, there are proctors and there are electronic surveillance looking at you, making sure you're not doing something suspicious. So just don't be suspicious. That's all I gotta say. But with the at-home testing, you're going to be monitored and recorded with, like I said, a human proctor on the other side. Someone is going to be watching you. It's kind of weird, but watching you as you are taking this test. So before the time test, make sure you understand test center regulations, the timing, the breaks, and the test information, your repeater policy of how many times you can take it. Make sure that you're responding to 2 background information questions, and that's going to be asked of you when you actually start registering for the test. So it's just questions, make sure you remember what they are. The time test. Each test section will contain general instructions on the first screen, and you can work on one section at a time for the allowed time. So 30, 35 minutes, 30 for the writing. The help feature. So this allows you to review questions, the section and general directions, and the testing tools like the calculator. Make sure you're using the mark and review features, the on-screen calculator, and please make sure you take your break. You're going to need to take your break. So there's 1 10-minute break after the 3rd section, and there is 1 minute break between the sections themselves. Unscheduled breaks will not stop the clock. So if you really have to go to the bathroom, go, but that's taking time away from your 30 minutes, 35 minutes of each section. Okay, so maybe don't drink any water or coffee before you start. Maybe an hour or 2 before you start, and then go from there. So now after the test, like you finally took it, you're done. Whew, what a sigh of relief, right? Make sure you're following all stated procedures and instructions that are given to you by the proctors before the testing, and then make sure you choose to report. And like I said, I recommend 100% to report the score, even if you don't think that pre-score is what you wanted or you don't think it's good enough, just report it. Make sure that you are out of the test site completely or logged off, and then go out and do something fun, treat yourself. When I took one of these standardized tests a long time ago, I left the test center with the biggest headache. It was horrible, and I just had to go home and sleep. It's the only thing that made me feel better. Your official scores are going to arrive within 10 to 15 days. And if you need to, make sure you please register to retake the test. At least take the test after 21 days of the first time you took the test. So I can't answer any questions, but if you do happen to have any questions that I didn't answer, or if none of the resources on my PDF answer the questions that you're looking for, you can always send me an email. There's my email down there. And I just wanted to say thank you. And if you can please go ahead and complete a quick little survey and let me know how I did. And I hope I was able to at least give you an insight of the GRE and get you excited for the GRE if you do need to take it. So I'm done. Have a great day. Bye.